Chapter 5. A Name That Cuts. The name Dax Solus was no longer whispered in shadows. By the time he'd completed his 10th high-profile contract, it was spoken openly in cantinas, smuggler outposts, and even among Imperial remnants. To some, he was a ghost, a nameless Mandalorian wielding forbidden power. To others, he was a weapon for hire, as reliable as he was deadly. But to those who knew the galaxy's darkest truths, he was something far more dangerous. A rogue who walked the line between the Force's light and shadow, bound to no master. With his reputation came higher-paying contracts and greater risks. The acolyte of the warlord Dax's next mission took him to the volcanic world of Mortra, where an exiled Sith warlord named Darth Malvaris had built a fortress among the lava flows. The warlord had seized control of a vital hyperspace route, extorting traders and syndicates alike. The job was simple: infiltrate the fortress and eliminate Malvaris. The client? A shadowy syndicate known as the Veiled Blade. They paid well, and Dax didn't ask questions. The approach to Malvaris's fortress was treacherous. Rivers of molten rock crisscrossed the landscape, and the air was thick with ash and heat. Dax used his jetpack sparingly, conserving fuel as he navigated the jagged terrain. The fortress loomed ahead, a monolithic structure of black stone and crimson banners. Its defenses were formidable, but Dax's years of Mandalorian training made him adept at bypassing security. Inside, the fortress was eerily silent, its obsidian walls lit by the flickering glow of lava pits. Dax moved through the corridors like a shadow, his lightsaber deactivated but ready in his hand. He reached the central chamber without incident, his helmet's HUD scanning for traps. There, seated on a throne of molten rock, was Darth Malvaris. The warlord was a towering figure, his black and red armor adorned with Sith runes. At his side stood a figure that made Dax's blood run cold. A young Zabrak woman wielding a double-bladed lightsaber, her eyes burning with the fire of the dark side. "You've come far, Mandalorian," Malvaris said, his voice like gravel. "But your journey ends here. Allow me to introduce my apprentice, Kalith." Kalith ignited her weapon, the twin crimson blades casting long shadows across the chamber. "You're nothing but a hired killer," she sneered. "Let's see how well your reputation holds up." The fight was ferocious. Kalith moved with the grace of a predator, her double-bladed saber spinning in deadly arcs. Dax countered with precision, his crimson blade clashing against hers in bursts of fiery light. Their battle raged through the chamber, the Force amplifying their strikes and dodges. Dax's training and instincts were his greatest weapons. While Kalith relied on raw power and acrobatics, Dax fought with ruthless efficiency. He disarmed her with a calculated strike, sending her weapon skittering across the floor. But before he could deliver the final blow, Malvaris intervened, hurling him across the chamber with a wave of Force energy. The warlord's power was overwhelming, his strikes relentless. Dax barely managed to hold his ground, using the environment to his advantage. He lured Malvaris toward a lava pit, baiting him into a misstep. When the Sith overextended, Dax struck, driving his blade through the warlord's chest. Malvaris fell, his body consumed by the molten abyss. Kalith, stunned by her master's death, stared at Dax with a mix of hatred and fear. But instead of striking her down, he deactivated his saber. "Run," he said, his voice cold. "You've lost today. Don't make me kill you." Kalith hesitated, then fled. Dax watched her disappear into the fortress's depths before retrieving proof of Malvaris's death for his client. The encounter left him uneasy. Killing the warlord had been straightforward, but sparing Kalith was a choice he couldn't explain. Perhaps it was a flicker of the honor instilled in him by the Mandalorian creed, or perhaps it was the nagging suspicion that their paths would cross again. Allies in the shadows. Dax's reputation not only attracted enemies, but also potential allies. One such ally was a human slicer named Voss. Their paths crossed during a mission on Ryloth, where Dax was tasked with recovering stolen Imperial schematics. The target, a Twi'lek crime boss, had hidden the data deep within a fortified bunker. Dax's brute force approach hit a wall when he encountered a labyrinth of encrypted locks and traps. Kira was already inside. Her slicing rig spread out on a table as she worked to disable the security systems. When Dax burst into the room, she didn't even flinch. "Let me guess," she said without looking up. "You're here for the schematics. So am I. How about we skip the part where you try to kill me, and I save you a lot of time?" Dax considered her offer, his saber still in hand. "You get the schematics, and I get what?" "You get to walk out of here alive," Kira replied with a smirk. "And maybe I owe you one. Trust me, you'll want a friend who can hack into Imperial databases." Reluctantly, Dax agreed. The partnership proved fruitful. Kira's skills got them through the bunker's defenses, and together, they fought their way out, with the schematics in hand. Afterward, Kira held up her end of the deal, giving Dax the data and disappearing into the crowd. But it wasn't the last he saw of her. Kira became a recurring figure in Dax's life, offering her expertise in exchange for his protection on dangerous jobs. She was one of the few who saw beyond the Mandalorian armor and crimson blade, recognizing the man beneath. Their relationship was tenuous, built on mutual benefit and a grudging respect. A legend in the making. As Dax's list of successful contracts grew, so did the galaxy's fear and fascination with him. He became a symbol of what the galaxy could not control. A warrior who bent neither to the Empire nor the Republic, forging his own path in the chaos. But with each victory, his enemies grew stronger, and the line between ally and rival blurred. Unbeknownst to him, the apprentice he had spared, Calith, had begun to track his movements. She was no longer an apprentice, but a rising Sith Lord in her own right, determined to finish what her master had started. And somewhere in the depths of the galaxy, Kira uncovered a secret that would change everything for Dax.